Have you ever felt like your business goals keep rolling over day after day, week after week, month after month, even year after year? You've hired the coaches, you've bought the courses, you've attended webinars, you know the strategy, you've implemented a bunch of tactics, but you still have not been able to realize the vision that you have for your life and your business. You desperately want to reset your life, but you're just not sure what you're doing wrong. You don't know what the missing piece is. I completely understand how you feel because I was once there. I remember feeling like the hospital walls were closing in on me as a registered nurse working 12-hour shifts, being away from my children multiple days a week. I wanted nothing more than to build a life that I did not need a vacation from. I wanted to build a life that I can live on my own terms. I wanted to build a life that I truly enjoyed living, and I was able to do that. And in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the 5 shifts that I did to be able to reset my life and business that allowed me to resign from my career as a registered nurse into my business full-time in less than 9 months. And that was over 5 years ago. And I'm on a mission to help as many moms as possible do the same. If you're new to me, my name is Janelle Renee, and I'm a registered nurse turned business coach, and I help you to feel safe to scale your business so you can finally go full time. And I want you to stay with me until the very end of this episode because I'm going to be breaking down practical tools that you can use to help you to go full time in your business. All right, so let's jump into how you can actually reset your life and business. Reset is an acronym, and so the first letter R is to realign with your creator for clarity. God was calling me out of the 4 walls of the hospital into the 4 corners of the earth. And I didn't know it at the time, but I've been able, since being able to resign from my career, I've been able to help and coach women all over the world. And I'm just so grateful that I answer the call of God on my life. But the very first thing I had to do was realign with my creator for clarity. I had to realign with God. You didn't create yourself. God created you. And there's a reason and a purpose that he created you for. And it's your responsibility to seek him to find out what that is. And so for many years, I just went along with the norms of society. You know, you follow what the world tells you to do. You go to school, you get really good grades, you start a career, you work that career for 40 years, right? 40 hours a week, and then you retire and live off of 40% of your income. It's like the 40-40-40 rule. And it's really important for you to understand, like, no, like I am a divine being. I'm a spirit first. I must connect with my Heavenly Father in spirit and truth. And I need to discover what it is that he planted me on this earth for. And so I knew God had called me to business because I just felt so confined to a time clock. And I knew I wanted to work on my own terms. And I knew business was the route for me, but no one around me was a business owner. I had no idea how to start a business. And so I just started doing whatever I can find. I went down a whole rabbit trail and tried so many different businesses and failed so many different businesses before being able to discover what my purpose-led business was. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, they jump into business and they never even consult with God to say, okay, Lord, is this the business that you've called me to? And this is why the purpose-led business pinpointer is the pre-work that I have inside of my container, because it's so important for you to understand that your business needs to be aligned with your purpose work. I don't care what business guru is out there. If your business is not aligned with your purpose, you're going to, even if you make tons of money, that inner fulfillment will not be there. And I know like there's a lot of entrepreneurs just in business to make money, but I believe it should be aligned with your purpose. And so you're probably asking, okay, Janelle, how do I find what my purpose is? How do I pinpoint my purpose-led business? I'm glad you asked. So the very first thing you want to do to discover what your purpose is, I want you to take a piece of paper. I want you to put a line down the middle. And then I want you to, on one side, list out your passions, right? So you're going to list, okay, 10 things that I'm very passionate about, 10 things that I love to do. And then on the other side, you're going to write out 10 things that I'm really good at doing. So these are your proficiencies, okay? And so you want to look at your passions, look at your proficiencies, and then you want to cross-reference them. So you can cross-reference these 2 lists, but there's another step. I really want you to sit down and Think about a trial that you've been able to triumph over. Think about a painful experience in your past that you've been able to get to overcome. And I want you to see, like, okay, how can I use this painful experience and turn that into purpose? And oftentimes you'll find a business through that. You'll find a business through your passions, your proficiencies, and a painful time that you've been able to overcome. Because what you're going to do is you're going to reach back and help the older version of you who's in that painful experience, which leads me into the next part of the purpose-led business pinpointer. And so first, once you discover your purpose work, then you're going to find a problem that you can solve, because business is all about solving a problem. And so you're going to say, okay, the past version of me that was in this painful experience, what would I need to help me solve that problem? You're going to say, okay, think of your niche. Think of the person you're called to serve. What deep pain are they going through? And what is the deep pleasure that they desire to get to, right? And so that inside of that gap right there, inside of that gap between the deep pain and the deep pleasure they desire to be in, that gap right there is the problem. And that's the problem that you're going to solve for them. And so I can go on and on and on. Inside of my program, we walk through the treasure trial framework, where we take the treasure out of your trial and we create a 3 to 5 step process to help you to build out your coaching curriculum, your coaching framework. But I just wanted to really pinpoint for you, once you have your purpose work, right? Your purpose work, and you have your avatar's problem, you're going to take that purpose, the problem, and that is your purpose-led business. Okay. This is the purpose-led business pinpointer, because I'm tired of kingdom entrepreneurs jumping into business just for the money and not really aligning it with their purpose work. And so that is some homework that I have for you. I want you to sit and I want you to do that. Okay. So that is the R, realign with your creative for clarity. Now we're going to jump into the E. The very first E is to evaluate your subconscious programming. And so this is extremely vital. This is something that I had to do and that I help my clients to do as well, because I cannot stress the importance of understanding your subconscious programming. You're overlooking it because it's below your level of conscious awareness. And so it's really important to understand the tools and have the resources to be able to uproot those subconscious programmings. And the reason why this is so important is because your subconscious programming is controlling 95 to 99% of your actions or inactions. And so you can know exactly what you want and what you desire, but if subconsciously your body is trying to protect you, you're not going to see the fruition of that, because your body is designed to keep you safe. I had to do this work. I knew God was calling me to speak. I knew he was calling me to business, but there was still so much internal blocks that I had in regards to fears of rejection. I had a lot of fears of judgment, people pleasing. There was so much of that gunk that I had to literally uproot. I had to get to the root, pull it out and get it out of me, because I knew for the level that God was calling me to, I could not be concerned about fears of rejection or be concerned about other people's opinions. I had to answer the call of God on my life, and I had to do what God had called me to do. And so I had to do the work to reprogram my subconscious beliefs through repetition. And I'm going to actually give you a 1-sentence formula that really helps to pinpoint a lot of your subconscious programming. So the 1-sentence formula is, I want blank, but I don't want blank. And so it reads, I want desired outcome, but I don't want greater suffering as a result of this desired outcome. And so consciously, you can want something, but subconsciously, there's a block there. And that block is causing you to self-sabotage. For example, I want to sign more clients, but I don't want more responsibility, more workload, more stress, more pressure, whatever that is. That is what your body is trying to protect you from. That is why you can start creating content for a week or 2 or 3, and then you disappear when visibility starts coming. Or this is why you can tell yourself, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to create content today, but then you find that you're procrastinating when it's time to actually show up and create the content. Like, you'll plan it, you'll have it on your calendar for 2 p.m., but then when 2 p.m. gets here, it's like, okay, you're finding other things to do. You're folding laundry, or you're washing dishes, or you're running errands. Why? Because your subconscious is trying to protect you. Your body is in a survival response, and it's just like, nope, we don't want to do that, because the last time we created content, we got ghosted, right? Or the last time we created content, we spent an hour on it and we got 4 likes and nobody DM'd us, right? And so it's just like trying to protect you from feeling that level of disappointment or discouragement that you felt before. Your body still remembers that. And this is why it's so important for you to understand your subconscious programming and to rewrite it, reprogram it, because it's going to continue to block you and cause you to self-sabotage. And it's below your level of awareness, so you have to pay close attention. And there's so much there's work that I have my clients do to really be able to pull those subconscious belief blocks up, because it's going to continue to self-sabotage. It's like you're going to be hitting a wall. You're going to be hitting an invisible wall, and you're not even going to be consciously aware of it. And this is why this is the work. This is the true work. Because you can know what to do and still not do it. You can have the strategy and still not implement it. You can have the tactics and still not remain consistent with it. Because the moment your body feels afraid, it's going to pull back. It's going to protect you. And this is why you have to get to the root. You have to get to the root to execute. I say it all the time to my clients. You got to get to the root to execute. And so that is the first E, all right? Evaluate your subconscious programming. And if you want to learn how to do this, I want to invite you into my Call to Coach workshop. Inside of this workshop, I reveal the 3 secrets to get you transitioned from your career into coaching full-time. And so if you know your Call to Coach, check the description and sign up for my Call to Coach workshop. Now, we're going to jump into the S. The S is to strategize from your future self. So when you realign with your creator for clarity, God is going to give you a vision, right? He's going to give you a vision for your life, and if he hasn't already, and I want you to take that vision and reverse engineer it, okay? Reverse engineer that vision. So say, for instance, it's a 3-year vision. Just think of, and if you haven't already, just sit and ask God, like, okay, where's my life going to, like, if you had the perfect life, right? If you had all the desires of your heart, and if you are submitted to the Lord, he gives you if you are submitted to the Lord, he gives you the desires of your heart. And so what is on your heart? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? What would your perfect life be 3 years from now? I want you to write that down in different areas of your life: financially, relationally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Like, write it all out. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Then you're going to take that 3-year vision and you're going to reverse engineer that. And you're like, okay, for me to get to where I want to go to in 3 years, we're working from the vision, right? So for you to actually see that vision come to life, what do I need to be doing in a year? Like, what is my goal for the year? Then you're going to take that yearly goal, break that up into quarterly goals. Okay, what should my goal be for the quarter? And then you're going to take that quarter goal, you're going to break that into monthly goals. What should my goal be for every single month? And then you're going to break it down even more. Okay, these are my monthly goals. So what should I be doing every single week? All right, I'm doing this every week. Okay, what do I need to be doing daily? What are my daily habits? And this is where you want to strategize from your future self. And so you see that 3-year vision, but who do I need to be now? Who do you need to be right now? What decisions is your future self making, right? If you are making, say for instance, an example would be you want to make 10K months. All right, so what decisions is the version of you who's making 10K months, what decisions is she making, right? What is she thinking? What is she believing? What is she feeling? How is she showing up? How is she taking aligned action? What are those actions she's doing daily? And so you want to think and strategize from your future self. With every decision that you're making in your day in and day out, what would my future self be doing? The version of me who's making 10K months, what is she doing? Is she scrolling and consuming content, or is she creating content consistently? Is she shrinking when it's time to talk about her offer, or is she confidently selling her offer? Is she having sales conversations? Does she have a YouTube channel? Does she have a podcast? What is she doing? You want to think of that version of yourself and embody that identity today. An awesome activity that you can do that I actually do every single day is scripting. I actually call it prophetic reflection. And so what you're doing is you are scripting out, you're declaring how it is that you want your day to go every single day. And this is helping to reprogram you on a subconscious level, because the more you see the vision and you're writing it out and making it plain, making it clear, I'm telling you, you're going to see the results. I'm literally living in things that I wrote in my journal years ago. I'm literally living that out. And this works, okay? It really works for you to really be able to see the vision and live it out in real time. You're creating a future memory in your mind. You're creating a vision, but your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And so when you're writing it every single day, you're writing out exactly what it is that you want your life to look like. You're creating a mental note, and you're going to see so many opportunities open up for you so that you can actually start to embody and take aligned action as that future self. And so that's just one example that I can give you. I mean, there's so much more. I want you to at least try that, journal it out for 30 days. And if you need help with that, I actually created a guide. It's called Her Belief Blueprint. It's a powerful tool that helps you to regulate your nervous system. It helps you to reprogram your subconscious and rewire your business from the inside out. It's actually going to be linked in the description below if you want to get your hands on this. It's actually a 90-day guide to help you to reprogram your subconscious and become that future version of yourself now. And so that is the S, okay? You want to strategize from your future self. And then we're going to jump into the second E, which is to execute your plan with systems. You want to execute that plan of action with systems. So I just mentioned to you reverse engineering your plan, but now it's one thing to have the plan and to see it and visualize it, but it's another thing to actually take action, right? And so you want to make sure that you are taking action with systems. It just makes it so much easier when you systemize your weeks, systemize your days, systemize your life, systemize your business, systemize everything, because when your body doesn't feel excited or motivated to show up, you have systems in place. You are establishing routines. You are establishing habits so that you remain consistent. One of my favorite books that totally shifted my life was Atomic Habits. And I read it at least 3 times. And it's such a powerful tool because it really speaks to the importance of just taking tiny steps, right? These tiny habits, these atomic habits, they compound over time. And when you're operating as your future self, you're making decisions from her. And so what decisions, what actions is she taking every day? What are her habits like? Is she working out, or is she, lounging around on the couch all day? Is she eating the apple pie, or is she eating the apple? Is she drinking sodas and eating cupcakes, or is she drinking water and eating fruits? There's just so much identity work that goes into really executing the plan with systems, because you're building habits and routines that align with the future version of yourself. And so when I say systemize your week and systemize your days, I mean, for the week, if you know that God has possibly called you to YouTube or podcasting or Instagram or TikTok, whatever platform he's called you on, you want to systemize the creation of your content, or systemize just how your weeks flow so that you can remain consistent with what he's called you to do. And so, for example, maybe on Sundays, you'll use Sundays as your day to plan, right? Your day to rest and to actually just plan out what your week is going to look like for the week ahead. Maybe Mondays is the day that you're recording. Maybe Tuesdays you're editing. Maybe Wednesdays you're batching short form. Maybe Thursdays you're working on emails. Maybe Fridays you are scripting your next piece of content for next week, right? Maybe Saturdays is the day you do laundry, whatever. You want to just systemize your week. There's certain days of the week that you're cooking. Maybe there's certain days of the week that you're having leftovers. So if you're cooking on Sunday, leftovers Mondays. The kids already know, right? That's literally what I do. And so you want to systemize your weeks so that you are not waking up every morning guessing like, okay, wait, what am I doing today? Today's Tuesday. Ooh, maybe I should send emails. Oh, wait, no. When you have it planned out, you know, oh yeah, no, I'm not working on emails on Tuesdays. That's for Thursdays. And so you have it all systemized in your mind. It alleviates so much cognitive dissonance of just like, okay, what am I doing today? It's so much, it relieves so much over processing in the brain that's not necessary. Remember, your subconscious loves consistency. It loves habits. And when you build those habits day after day after day, they just become second nature to you. And that's when you start to see the results compounding. You also can implement morning routines and night routines. For example, in the mornings, you can make sure you're spending time with your Heavenly Father first thing. You can read your Bible, you can journal, you can worship, you can pray, you can maybe go on a worship walk. That's what I do every morning. Go on a worship walk, get sunlight on me. And it's such a powerful, I love doing it because it's not only am I working out, moving my body, activating my body, I'm spending time with God. I'm filling my spirit, man. As I'm walking, I'm declaring the word of God over my life, declaring my day, declaring and decreeing the day that I'm going to have while still worshiping and praising my Heavenly Father. And then while I'm on my walk, I do a quick story, right? I do a story in my Instagram. So I'm actually showing up, so it's like, it's killing so many birds with one stone, but it's my favorite part of the day. Like when I wake up, I literally look forward to it, and it's something that you can start implementing if you live in an environment that is conducive to that. But that's something that I really recommend because it's killing so many birds, like I said, with one stone. What else? Maybe you can implement habits and like habit stack. So if you're someone who wants to read more, you can possibly say, okay, after I have my tea, I'm going to read a chapter of my book, right? Or read for 10 minutes. Or maybe you want to do that at night. Maybe at night, after brushing your teeth, getting into bed, you'll read for 10 minutes. There's so many different things that you can do to have like different morning routines, nighttime routines, and you can just take the time to really brainstorm and think like, okay, what habits can I start implementing that I can start stacking to start operating as my future self and start executing the plan with systems. It makes it so much easier. Now that was the second E. We're going to jump into the T. The T is to train your brain and your body for safety. So as I mentioned before, when the Lord was calling me to speak, I was conditioned to just like believe that I was shy. I was too shy. All my life, I grew up like a mute. I would just always shrink back. I would never speak up because there were a lot of like internal blocks when it came to being visible, to actually being fully seen. And I had to do that deep inner work. And a part of it, not only is it important for you to reprogram your mind on a subconscious level, it's really important for you to retrain your nervous system and rewire your nervous system to feel safe to be seen, to feel safe to show up, to feel safe to scale, to feel safe to talk about your offer and to sell, right? To feel safe to speak. Your business will only grow to the extent of your belief system and your body's safety. I'm going to continue to say that until I'm blue in the face because it's true. You can, like I said, you can have all the strategy and the tactics, but if your body does not feel safe to take action, it's going to continue to pull you back. It's going to continue to find excuses, right? You're going to continue to start and stop. You're going to continue to procrastinate on the very thing that you know you need to do. Oftentimes, I see this so many times with my clients where they're taking so much massive action on the back end of their business, not on the front end. When it comes to marketing their business, that's where they're pulling back. They're finding all the excuses. They'll spend hours like tweaking email funnels. But when it's time to actually either go live or create content, that is always on the back burner. Why? Because there's this invisible wall. There's this fear of rejection. And this is the work that I'm just so honored and grateful that I get to do, to really interrupt and uproot those subconscious belief blocks that are hindering businesses, because they do. And if you don't uproot them, if you don't get to the root, you won't execute. And even if you do execute, oftentimes people are executing from a fight response, which is pushing, forcing, grinding, hustling, right? And that only leads to burnout. Or you can be in a freeze response where you're feeling so afraid to be disappointed again, feeling so afraid to make a mistake that you just freeze. You don't do anything. You stay there. You're procrastinating, right? Or you can be in a fawn response where you're constantly like people pleasing. You're not honoring your own boundaries. You're saying yes when you want to say no. You're stuffing your offer with so much because you're like, I want this offer to sell. I want people to be happy with the offer, but really you're miserable. This is why you're not even selling the offer, because you don't want to have to fulfill it because you overstuffed it so much. And so that's a fawn response. A flight response is you jumping from strategy to strategy, tactic to tactic. You're selling high ticket, then you're selling low ticket, then you're doing webinars, and you're doing all the things, but you're jumping from thing to thing. Why? Because you don't feel safe to commit to one thing, because you're like, it's not working, right? So that programming that it's not working has you jumping all over the place. So nothing works because it doesn't have time to work. And so these are the 4 nervous system responses that show up. And it's really important for you to be able to identify them, right? Be able to recognize when it's happening and be able to regulate in minutes. So for me, before doing this work to reset my life and business, I would spiral, and I would spiral for days, if not weeks, months. And now I'm able to recognize when my body is in, my nervous system is activated, and I'm able to regulate it in minutes. And I'm going to break down the 4 steps that I teach my clients, and I want you to have it because I want you to feel safe to scale your business. I want you to feel safe to show up and market your business. So the very first thing you want to do is the S. You want to stop and scan. You want to do a somatic scan. Feel all of the feelings that your body is currently experiencing. So let me backtrack. I'm just going to use the example of going live, right? Because that was personal for me. I remember when the Lord first called me to go live, and like I said, I was so afraid to speak. I always identified myself as really shy, and I didn't want to speak in front of anyone. Just didn't want to do that, but I knew I had to be obedient to what the Lord was telling me to do. But I didn't have this tool that I have now. And so my heart would be racing, okay? My heart would be racing right before hitting that live button. My palms would be sweating. My arms would be sweating. I would have knots in my stomach. And I was so afraid because going live, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess up. People are going to judge me, like all the things. And so let's just say, for example, you're going to go live and you start to have all these feelings, right? You want to stop and scan and really feel the feels, right? Is your heart racing? Is your stomach in knots? Are you sweating? Like feel all of what you're feeling right now, okay? And identify, okay, am I in a fight response, flight response, freeze, or fawn? Then you want to move on to the A, which is to anchor into safety. In the A, you're going to do the work to actually regulate in real time. All right. You want to do some deep breathing exercises, right? You want to maybe put your hand on heart. This releases oxytocin. This is the love hormone to bring calm and comfort to your body. You want to get your feet on the ground so you have more of a grounded feel, a grounded base, so your body feels secure. You can go for a worship walk. You can move your arms, wiggle your arms, jump up and down, like just release the tension from your body, right? There's so much. You can do some humming and singing. This activates the vagus nerve so that you shift from a sympathetic nervous system response over into a parasympathetic nervous system response. So it's taking you out of fight and flight and bringing you back into rest and digest. There's so many you can like YouTube. There's so many different ones. So that's what you're going to do for the A. You're going to anchor into safety and into truth. Who has God call you? What does God's word say, right? So when you're doing hand on heart prayer, and you can do your hand on your tummy simultaneously, and you can just speak God's truth over yourself. I am called by God. I am chosen by God. I am anointed. I am blessed. Greater is he that's within me than he that's in this world. God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. I am above and not beneath. It is God who works in me to will and to act according to his good purpose. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There are so many different prayers and biblical affirmations that you can speak over yourself so that you can anchor into the truth of God over your life. So that's the A, anchor into safety and into truth. The next thing you want to do is step into the F, which is focus on your intention and your identity. And so why am I going live, right? You want to sit there and ask yourself, okay, I'm not going live for me. I'm going live to serve. I'm going live to pour into others. The moment that you take your focus off of yourself and place it back onto others, that's when you're going to see such a shift. Because the reason why your nervous system is feeling activated is because you're thinking about me. I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna be judged, right? But the moment you take it off of yourself and put it back on the people you're called to serve, that is when you're going to see such a shift and such a relief, because it's not about you. You also want to focus on your identity. Who has God called you to be? Has he called you to be a full-time coach? Has he called you to be a full-time entrepreneur? If so, how is that future version of yourself operating? What is she doing in the moment? Which leads us into the final letter, which is the E. Embody her. Embody that version of yourself. And you embody her by taking aligned action, which means hitting the live button. Or if your body still feels very activated and it still doesn't feel safe and secure, do a tiny step, right? Even if you don't feel safe doing the full-on live, okay, well then record content or go into your stories. Take a baby action before doing the bigger action, right? And so this is really, really helpful to walk through the SAFE protocol, because this is what's going to help you to regulate in minutes so that you can stay resilient in your business and start to see the success that you want to see. This is how you train your brain and your body for safety. This is one of the steps that I help my clients to do and that I still use to this day. If there's a task or a next level assignment that I feel uncomfortable with, I'm going to walk through the SAFE protocol. I don't always feel like showing up. I've gotten way better. And actually, I remember like I mentioned before, when I was going live before, I was always so nervous. Now it's actually my favorite thing to do when it comes to content creation. I much rather go live. I'm not the biggest fan of editing, but I do what I have to do. But my favorite form of content now is live, because I've done it so much. And this is a part of reprogramming your mind through repetition. I went live every single week. I would go live every single day at some points. And so now it's just second nature for me. And I actually prefer it over recording and editing. But here we are. So that is how you reset your life and business. Let's just do a quick recap. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to realign with your creator for clarity on your calling. You want to evaluate your subconscious programming. You want to strategize from your future self. You want to execute your plan with systems, and you want to train your brain and body for safety. I pray that this has really blessed you, and I want you to comment, "I'm ready to reset," in the comment section to let me know that you made it to the very end. If you haven't already, check out this video right here, and I'll see you on the next episode of Safe to Scale with Janelle Renee. But before I go, I'm going to tell you, just as God told me, put one foot in front of the other, step out on faith, and trust God for the next step. Bye.